Aloha and welcome to this WOD called Digits Login. And the goal of this is to start working with authorization and authentication mechanisms in play. So the basic behavior is when we bring up our Digits application, we won't see any contacts yet. There'll just be the home page and a login link, and then we use the login link to go to a login page where we log in. Once we've logged in, we'll see the contacts that were in there. We'll also have the name of the logged in user. We'll have the ability now to create new contacts, and of course we'll have the ability to log out. Okay? It's very important before you do this WOD that you go check out the play example login system and that you actually have it in Eclipse and available to you. Had it running and so forth, and played around with it so that when you do this WOD, you can use the code from it. Because what you'll see when I implement this for the Digits application, I'm going to be copying a lot of code over from play example login. There's a lot of good boilerplate in there for this. Okay? So let's begin. We're going to start the timer. And we want to create a branch of our Digits system called login1. So I'll go to branches, and I'll find the current one, and I'm going to create, I think I've done this a couple times before, so I'll call it login 3 just for grins. And we'll see that that's login 3, and then we'll just do a :clean, :compile, :run, just to make sure that everything's copacetic with our system. If you can't run this and have this work reliably, that indicates a problem with your environment. You really should work on having this be a reliable thing. So now we see, we've basically got the kind of behavior that we want to have here. Okay. Oh, and then we want to push a small change. So I'll go to global, and I'll add some white space and save it out, and then say starting Y. Checkpoint our okay, so we're going to begin by implementing the user info and user info DB classes and updating the global class to create credentials. So the way we'll do that is to go to play example login, and in the models we'll find user info, and we'll save this into digits, into its models package. And then we'll retrieve user info DB, and we'll do the same thing, put it into the digits app models. And then we notice, so we notice that there's this line in globals that we can just basically copy and then go up to the globals in here, and we can add that right there. Okay? So we've done that. Then we're going to implement the login view, updating the routes and controller classes necessary. Okay, so implementing the login view means first that we've got to find this login form, and we're going to save that into our Bootstrap 3 directory in the digits one, and then in our views, in our regular views, we've got a login.scala, and we're going to have to save that to the views directory in digits, and then finally we've got the login form data class, and we're going to save as to the form data class app use form data class in the digits application. Okay, and what we notice is that if we look at the main template in play example login, okay. What we notice is that we're going to need to pass some variables. The page, logged in Boolean user info. And that the login, they're all going to basically start with this page is logged in Boolean user info, which is going to pass in info which the main class is going to require. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start by looking at the main class because we're going to want to be able to do some conditional stuff based upon the presence of this. So we're going to take these arguments as the canonical kind of first arguments for all of our views in the digits application. And you can see that login actually already has that, plus it has this, this additional parameter. But these are the three that are always going to be passed into our main class. So if we go here, what we'll do is we'll paste those in. And then we've got to update this to be page is logged in user info. Okay, and then login is already okay. Main is okay, and then new contact, we're going to put those in, and then we're going to say page is logged in user info. Okay, so that's all good. Now what's going to happen is if we kind of look at our application class, well actually in order to update that, the next thing we have to do is we have to copy over the secured class from login and put it into our digits application, and that's going to go into controllers. Okay. And actually, while we're at it, we also know that we need to update the routes file, because now we're going to have these logins. And we'll also have a log out. So we'll put these in here. And then we also want the log out. We'll copy that. Put that in there. And then I realized, hey, we're going to need the login, the post login, and the log out from the application controller from login. So here's the login, post login, and log out. So let's just copy these. And here over into this system. Okay, so at this point, okay, so one thing I know is that all of our render methods now have to take a page and a Boolean indicating whether or not we're logged in and the user info. And so if I look at the play example login, what I notice is that we have these values secure.isLoggedIn is the Boolean, secure.getUserInfo with the context is the user info, and secure.getUser is the user. But actually we just need these two. So what I think we'll do here is make a copy of these two. These are these two, the is logged in. So we have this page is the Boolean is logged in and the Boolean and the user info. So maybe I'll copy all three for index. And I'm going to go up to my application here. And I know that I have to put those three in, and then we've got this get context afterwards. Okay. And then in new contact, I know that I need, well, these same arguments. So I'll paste those in, but it's going to be, we'll call this the new page. And then new contact render. I know I need these three arguments to be passed in. And this is new. And then here's the other one. We'll keep doing the same thing. Login works. Post login, of course, is going to work. Log out is going to work. Oh, and this is going to be a problem. There's no profile page. Where we actually want to go is to the index page. Right? When we successfully log in, we want to go back to that home page, and this time show the actual value. So I think what I'll do at this point is let me try to recompile, and we'll probably get some errors. Okay, so we have too many arguments. Too many arguments for method apply. Page string. Let's log in. Oh, too many arguments. Okay, so let's go look at our main. Looks like, oh, because we forgot to save this out. Okay, let's try to recompile again. Okay, and what do you know? We've actually, this thing compiled. That's pretty crazy. So now, what we want, we've got this stuff implemented, but we haven't protected, we haven't added so there's two things we haven't done at this point. One is we haven't added the annotations to protect certain pages, like the new contact page, from being accessible. So right now, we can actually still go to the new contact page, even though we aren't logged in. That's kind of bad. And we can just see all the contacts, which is kind of bad because, again, we aren't yet logged in, and there's no way to log in because we haven't provided a link to do that. Of course, we can go there manually, but who would know to type that in, right? All right, so now, well, let's go ahead and basically protect the stuff that we don't want other people to be able to look at. And so if we look in our application.java from the login, what we notice is that we want to add this annotation to the methods that we don't want unauthenticated people to access. So let's go up to application, let's go through. So index, we want everybody to be able to go to the home page. New contact, we only want authenticated people to be able to do a new contact. We only want authenticated people to post a new contact. Anybody should be able to go to the login page, and anybody should be able to post a login, and then only authenticated people should theoretically be able to log out. So that's good. Let's save that out. The second thing that we want to do is we want to fiddle around with our nav bar. Okay? And so for this, what we want to, I noticed this was a pound sign. It should really be a slash, so it always goes to that home page. So what we want to do here is we want to say, in fact, I don't even know, well, I guess we can keep the home there, or we can get rid of it. Because basically this nav bar is actually the same as the home page. So I think what we'll do is we'll get rid of this home link. I forget what well, let me just look at it. Yeah, so it doesn't show the home page in here. So we're not going to have that home page anymore. But what we are going to say is we're going to say, what are we going to say? We're going to say if is logged in, okay, we'll show that part of the navbar. All right, let's kind of find out what we want. And then we want this login. So when we first come there, if we're not logged in, we don't want to show that new contact. We want to have this login thing to the left, okay? And so otherwise, what we say is UL class equals, actually I want to say, yeah, I want to say else UL class equals nav bar nav, and then what it is a nav bar right. Nav bar right. Okay. And then inside there, we're going to have a class, and we don't need to have this highlighting thing. So it'll just be an li href about application login. Login. Okay, so that means that, and then we've got to actually put the closing bracket in there. Okay, so inside this collapsible nav bar, if it's logged in, we're going to see this new contact. Okay. Oh, and then what we also need is we need this admin at example.com and log out. Okay, so we're going to need another inside here. UL class equals nav bar right. And then inside here, oh yeah, we're going to need to put in, how does this work? It's going to be an li, and then a p class equals nav bar text. And then what we want is the email of the user, which we get out of the user info object. And then that's going to be a /p and then a /li. And then we also want this log out link. So take this one from there, and then we'll say log out. Log out. Okay, so if we're logged in, then we're going to have, on the left side, we'll have the new contact. And then on the right side, we'll have the user's name, the logged in user's name, and the logout link. Otherwise, all we're going to show is the login link on the right side. Okay. That looks like it could potentially work. Let's see what happens. Okay. Oh, so the only problem is we're still showing our contacts in the main screen. So to fix that, what we'll do is we'll just say at if is logged in, Okay, put all this stuff. Okay. All right, so let's try refreshing again. Okay, now we don't see anything because we're not logged in. Let's go to the login page. Smith, I think it's password, logs us in. Okay, now we see Smith at example.com, and the logout is there, and turns out that we have this little UI twiddle here, which is due to the fact that I'm using the this silly I'm using this Bootstrap theme Space Lab, and I can show you that this unevenness, Bootstrap, Space Lab, Bootstrap. If I just switch this to go back to kind of the normal Bootstrap mode, you can see that now it's aligned correctly. So that's kind of irritating. And the fix for that to notice that these other elements, okay, like these other elements are not 15 and 15, they're 17 and 13. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, to fix it, is kind of a simple matter of going into my style sheet. And again, this is just because I'm using this Space Lab theme, which doesn't do the right thing. Okay, obviously it should be making things line up, but it apparently, didn't. 17 px and margin bottom 13 px. So if I make this change and then refresh, okay, now you can see this UI thing is fixed. And that's just wholly dependent on what theme. I don't know if the other Bootstrap themes have the same problem or not, but just in case you run across it, because it's not a Twitter Bootstrap problem, it's a problem with those silly Bootstrap themes. The only fix is to just make the change correctly. Okay, then we can log out. You can see things go away. Log in again, and if we do something weird here, we get the errors and so forth. So that's about 22 minutes for this WOD. Actually, let's go back because I forgot to finish up by doing the commit. So we'll say finished WOD. I'll look through the things I had to change. All that looks good. And well, we'll call it 23 minutes. Hope you enjoyed that.